Welcome back to the Sports Trigger, everyone. Today we have an episode doing a little weekend recap. Travis, are you ready to recap some weekend events?
Let's get recapped.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Trigger. Travis, we had a big weekend. Even my car had a big weekend. It was flooded by some rain here in Florida, so I spent all Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning, bailing out water of my car, actually. So that was the big event, I think, outside of the fight that we covered the other day. Getting into some other news, there were a few college football games starting out. Pumped. I love college football. I know you do, too.
Oh, yeah.
I know they weren't the big games that everybody's waiting for this week, really, coming up, especially with Bama and Florida State, Michigan, and the Florida team that they're going to be playing. But it was interesting to watch some of these games, and we'll start out with the Stanford game. And Stanford played Rice. If you go by all the book online accounts, they're 30-point favorites or something along those lines. That was the line, it seemed. I know you bet on this game, so it was 30 points, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 31 points.
Yeah, 31, and they looked. You know what? You hate to say that a team looked great against like Rice or something like that, but Stanford's offense looked pretty darn impressive, wouldn't you say?
Oh, easily. And you know, obviously Christian McCaffrey's gone now, but Bryce Love had a great game. He only had 13 touches. He had I believe it was just over 180 yards. He had one score, but that's because he got all the yardage and someone else took his touchdowns in short yardage game. But what a great game he had. I know last year, some people were talking about him this year because I think his average coming into this year with the few touches he got last year was around 7 yards a carry. So, you know, I expected the ground game to be big for Stanford like normal, but I think it depends and hinges on the quarterback play as well, and he seemed to do well. Granted, it was against Rice, but, you know, a big win like they had, only allowing 7 points, that's impressive.
Yeah, Scarlett had 3 touchdowns as well, so he's another 7.4 yard carry average. So he's another one to keep in mind there. But yeah, Love was the more impressive one anyways, if you're going to have a huge takeaway. Chris, the quarterback, though, I'm a little interested just because your love for Notre Dame. Is there any relationship or relation between Chris Stanford and the former Notre Dame Chris? Is that a different spelling?
Yeah, that's a different spelling. Chris Notre Dame was with an I instead of a Y. But,
okay.
But let's hope he turned out better than the Chris that went to Notre Dame. I'll say that much for Stanford fans.
Yeah, and you would know that too. So
yes,
I'll defer to you on that. The other one though that was really interesting. We'll go USF. Charlie Strong's his debut, and I kind of laughed because one of the ESPN video headlines says South Florida rolls past San Jose State, and I just kind of laughed because they really didn't roll past them. It took them a little over a quarter and a half to really get rolling, and you looked at Flowers. Flowers is a consensus. A lot of people are saying he's going to be a Heisman candidate. I don't know about favorite, but a candidate. He was only 11 of 23. Yeah, for over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and 18 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown, which obviously that kind of helps him get into contention just because he can run and pass dual threat. But I was not impressed with USF, and that's no knock on San Jose State. They just did not come out, no pun intended, strong. And to be honest, this would have me a little worried about Charlie Strong going forward. Do you think that's premature overreaction? Maybe we should wait a few games, or what's your take on that?
I don't think it's premature. I think it's borderline easily. Obviously, as you say, they got off to a very slow start, and I just want to go ahead and note, thanks a lot for not covering the 20.5 South Florida. All you had to do was, kick a field goal or something. You could have at least only won by 18 or something like that and not make it as harsh. But I think it's borderline whether it's premature or not. I definitely agree. It's San Jose State. Regardless, you have a great quarterback coming back, a dark horse. He's my dark horse, as we had an earlier episode to win the Heisman. And, I don't necessarily know what they have on defense, but you would definitely expect more, with your debut if you're strong, regardless of the talent that you have. You're playing San Jose State. You have a good offense coming back. So I wouldn't say it's premature. I would be slightly worried, especially given Strong's background when he was even with Texas, and look at the type of talent that he had.
Yeah, his saving grace really is, I keep going back to Louisville and how he made he had a good season there and then they ended up knocking Florida. But how long can that carry on? Because, he had, what was it, Bridgewater there, right, at that point. Right. So you start to think, was it more Bridgewater, bad comp? I don't know. But just a brief mention of the Colorado State game. They actually looked pretty decent against Oregon State, but let's wait and see. I believe Colorado State plays on a short week against Colorado. So that'll be interesting, and it'll be interesting to see where Colorado is with some of the turnover that they had. Quick one word just to describe Stanton. He's now hit 50 home runs, right? One word to describe it.
Powerful.
Powerful. I am going to go surprised. And the reason that 50 home runs is a huge mark. And, I feel like it hasn't been getting a lot of buzz this year. It's kind of snuck up. I don't know what your feelings are. Even on ESPN, it seems kind of just like, it's happening, right? So I don't know. It seems like this year 50 home runs, if you can be sneaky to 50 home runs, I feel like Stanton's done that this year.
Well, I think part of it's obviously mainly the team that he's on. Obviously, if they were in more contention, it would be a different story. But I think due in part to being on a team that's not in contention, that's kind of, taking the buzz away a little bit. Not to take away from how many homers he's hit. It's remarkable, but at the same time, they're not even in wild card contention.
Yeah, well, where's Jeter at? He just went in and bought the team. I thought he was going to work his magic and start up in the ante there in Miami, getting a little more exposure. So this might fall on Jeter. Maybe him and his investment team needs to do a little better marketing job. Maybe that's the first one there.
That could be the first step.
Well, with that, let's close it out here with a little NBA, just to touch base on the Celtics and Cavs trade, which is getting a little interesting here, with the hip from IT after going through physicals. I kind of call it just BS on the whole thing. The Celtics knew that he was hurt, and the Cavs, if they did any due diligence whatsoever, they would have known the extent of IT's injuries. There's no way that you don't do some of that before. And now they're asking to acquire another asset from all the media outlets so far. So what's your feeling on that? What do you think Danny Ainge should do if the Cavs call in and say, hey, you should give me one more asset? Would you reach for anybody else, or would you say either no, we're going to nix the trade, or forget you, like we made the trade, you should have done your due diligence, and we're off to next season?
Right. Well, and you make a great point. Obviously, it was well known that IT had, a hip injury. Obviously that's why he missed the rest of the playoffs. And, obviously the Cavs should have been aware of it and, got a good understanding of how long it takes to recover, so on and so forth. And right now, I don't see to where Danny Ainge can say, no, we'll keep IT, just because, what's the relationship going to be like if you keep him? He's like, obviously you just showed that you want to deal him and you feel that someone else is better. So it's going to be sour grapes, I would feel, for IT, maybe not necessarily toward his teammates, obviously, but, maybe toward Brad Stevens and obviously upper management. So I feel like that'd be a terrible situation to go back to. So I almost feel like Danny Ainge would be put in the position to where he has to add another asset unless he finds someone else that, they can get included to where he can ship IT off to.
Right, yeah, I think he's got to tell the Cavs to shove it, or he digs deep into his cupboard of picks and gives them a future pick that's not, you don't want to start making the cupboard too bare here. He built all those picks, he had all these assets just for, Kyrie Irving, so he needs to be careful there. But with that being said, thanks a lot for joining us on another episode of the Sports Trigger, and until next time.